I'm Lauren Shoemaker. I am the co-director of Gender Studies at Slippery Rock University, and this is meant as a panel of some queer elders from both Erie and from Newcastle. We have gathered together, and I don't want to be the one guiding this very much today, but I do want to introduce you to the people who can't wait to talk to you tonight. So, I have, first up, this is Jody D'Andrea. She is the director for the Newcastle PRISM Initiative, which is an LGBTQ outreach center, resource center, that has all trans-affirming care items, houseless grab bags at it, and plenty of support groups too. They have recently opened the Polly Likens Memorial Sanctuary, which was named after, if you remember in the news about 2 years ago, a trans girl who was missing and her body was recovered from the river. Jody has also served the U.S. Air Force Special Ops from 1979 to 1985, and now is very active as the director, right, for Newcastle PRISM.
Director of Trans Care.
Director of Trans, thank you. And next I have Blaine Dessy. Blaine is a retired federal employee who retired from the government in 2017 and moved to Erie, PA in the spring of 2018. Since then, he's been the director of the Erie County Public Library and the acting director of operations for the new Erie County Community College. Right now, he's engaged with a number of local nonprofits, including the Erie Community Foundation's LGBTQ Fund, which provides money for scholarships and small nonprofit organizations supporting the LGBTQA+ community. Blaine has been in a monogamous gay relationship since 1998, married in 2014, and has a grown daughter from a previous relationship. Welcome, Blaine. Michael Mailer is the editor of Erie Gay News, a monthly publication that first appeared in 1992. He was also one of the founding board members of the NWPA Pride Alliance in 2011 and has served on the Governor's Commission on LGBTQ Affairs since its establishment in 2018. He is also active with Aging with Pride in Erie. As far as he knows, he became the first out queer person in Erie County to use his full name and full face when he appeared to comment on a second-degree murder gay bashing conviction on WSEE-TV in May of 1992. Thanks, Michael. Next is Dale Allgaier. He is a licensed clinical social worker and is the owner of Lake Erie Counseling Incorporated in Erie, PA since 1994. Dale holds a bachelor's degree from Mercyhurst University and a Master of Social Work degree from West Virginia University. Dale came out as gay in 1979, and while studying for his MSW, he became interested in gender and sexuality issues. He was lucky enough to have been connected with James Huggins, PhD, at the Persad Center in Pittsburgh, PA, for additional training and mentorship. In 1994, Dale and his late partner opened Lake Erie Counseling Incorporated in Erie. Dale began actively promoting and marketing gay-affirming and empowering services and reached out to the gay community. In 2017, Dale first organized the social support group Aging with Pride. This first version stopped meeting in 2020 due to COVID, but was reborn in 2023. Thanks, Dale. Next is Kemlyn, or Kem Brosda. I grew up on a farm in Michigan, she grew up on a farm in Michigan, and after going to Michigan State University, worked at the Defense Department for 34 years. She did not come out until age 47, because in her family it was not an option. Most LGBTQ+ civilians in the Department of Defense remained closeted until Don't Ask, Don't Tell in the mid-90s. Being out of the closet has been great. You don't realize how much energy it takes to pretend to be straight until you don't have to anymore. Since I'm constantly learning new things about the community, she hopes this evening can be an active dialogue. And next is Pat Zeller. Born and raised in Erie, she completed 7 semesters of college before coming out to her family. She came out at the age of 23 and withdrew from college to go to work full-time. Her family's negative reaction to her coming out resulted in her relocating to California and then Oregon. She has 34 years work experience in various non-clinical hospital departments. In 2009, she completed her BS degree, specializing in health and business management at Eastern Oregon University. In 2017, she moved back to Erie following retirement. Returning to Erie, she was amazed how much more connected the LGBTQIA community had become. When she left Erie in 1979, all that existed were bars, softball, and bowling. She's now a member of Aging with Pride, an organization for senior LGBTQIA members and allies. AWP, right, Aging with Pride, sponsors social, recreational, and educational events. They are also currently involved in the development of the LGBTQIA Legacy Project, partnering with a local university. Their goal is to create a permanent archive and record LGBTQ history of Erie and surrounding areas. She's involved in the operation of media technology to record interviews with those LGBTQ members, instrumental in the development of the Erie LGBTQ community and culture. These recorded interviews will become part of a permanent historical record describing the evolution of Erie's LGBTQ community. The Legacy Project will capture the maturing of a community and its dedication to equal rights, social support, and inclusion to promote the well-being of all. Thanks, Pat. And last but not least is Marty Sargent. He contributes his experience as a gay man coming out in the 1970s, experiences finding a family of choice within the gay community, and his work experience as a medical social worker working with AIDS patients in the 1980s in Atlanta, Georgia. And following retirement, he developed and implemented a job readiness program within Lost and Found Youth, a program providing shelter and safety to LGBTQ youth aged 16 plus who were homeless and at risk of exploitation. Marty, when he gave me his bio, gave me a few quotes too to start with, and I really appreciate these. First is from Arthur Schlesinger Jr. History is to society what memory is to the individual. And this is his own quote, and I loved it. History, an accurate record of the past, provides a narrative of LGBTQ group identity, shared strengths, struggles, and successes. Understanding LGBTQ history helps one develop a stronger sense of identity and belonging. The 2025 LGBTQ theme, activism and social change, generates a sense of connection, community action, and celebration as we honor the past and its progress. So thank you so much for joining us. So I'm going to turn this over, and I know we only have one microphone, so you're going to have to, share and pass it down the line quite a bit. But my first question for you to get this started tonight is, I'm interested in how you became an activist, how, when. Give us a little bit of your history about entering activism.
Okay, that's a good question. And I think about this a lot every day when I'm in my office or whatever at the prison. And how I became an activist was 2 years ago, a 14-year-old trans girl was brutally murdered in Sharon, Pennsylvania. Her name is Polly Likens, was Polly Likens. The hate for a 14-year-old trans girl made me say, I've had enough. Hurting somebody because they're different, because they identify differently, made me say that I need to be a voice for the voiceless. I'm 63 years old, and I've got a lot of fight left in me. And you hurt one of my trans kids. Anybody here that's transgender, you are one of my kids, because I love all my kids. And I'm a mean mama bear. And I will stand up and fight for my kids. Don't cross my kids. Don't touch us. Don't hurt us, because this witch and that's how I became an activist, because We've all been bullied in some certain way. Well, look how the transgender community and now the LGBTQ is being bullied. We're being bullied because of what's between our legs. We're being bullied is because we're different. Because I don't want to take her place. I want to walk with my sister as a woman. Let me be the woman that all the women are. Let us trans women be women. We don't want to replace anybody. We just want to walk with you. Let us be. That's what being an activist is all about.
Thanks, Jerry. That's a hard act to follow. I really don't think of myself as an activist. I really think of myself who sees issues that need to be addressed and just goes to work on them. I prefer to be busy. That's just my personality. But when I looked around our community, as you might look around your own here in Slippery Rock, there are issues that need to be addressed. There are people who are hurting. There are people who are suffering. There are people who are far less fortunate than any one of us. And maybe it's my Catholic upbringing, but we need to do something about that. We cannot let other people suffer. We can't let other people be erased or humiliated. I think all of us have stories about how we have been humiliated, bullied, made examples of, physically attacked, whatever. We can't let that continue. So if nothing else, we all have to be activists. It can be on a grand scale. It can be on a small scale. A simple act of kindness. A simple act of recognizing somebody for who they really are is a way to be an activist. It is a way to affirm the best in people. That's how I define
it. I was not, my introduction to being queer was, I used to belong to this medieval Renaissance group, and I remember there was a campground, Cooper's Lake campground, so like 10 miles from here. There was this LGBT support group that formed, and I remember the first year they were like meeting in a very remote part at night, shh, quiet, I was too nervous to go. Next year I went, it was still after hours, went there. A year after that, they had something, it was like during the day, it was like part of the camp that had a sheet wall around it. And the last year I was there was like a group of gay and straight folks there at the swimming hole. And so there were queer people and straight people, and that was just a really great introduction. So then I came back to Erie and I realized that, oh, I know people like in the area surrounding me, but nobody in my own zip code. Maybe this whole single thing is not quite the mystery I thought it was. So I started going to a local bar, and then there had been like this gay bashing in December of '91. And I think I said something to like the local TV station. I had a call from this reporter asking, okay, so we're looking for, this case into second degree murder conviction. Would you be able to comment on it? I'm like, okay. And he's like, we can blur out your name, we can blur out your face, and I'm like, it really kind of bugged me when other folks did that. And I'm like, we don't have the right to catch about other people doing that when I've done, if I were to do the same thing. So I'm like, okay, we'll do it. I remember feeling like super, super wired that night. For some reason, I was really paranoid someone was going to slash my tires or something, but nothing bad happened. Influencing thing was that, okay, so white male, works a white collar job, all the things that are typically associated with privilege, but it has been a fun ride, and I am glad to continue doing stuff. And yeah, it's just a case of you try to make things better for yourself and others, and it makes you feel connected and that you have some kind of a purpose in life, that you're not just here just kind of hanging around till you die. So that's what being an activist for me is.
I first became aware of my need to be an advocate I was part of a group in Erie called PALS in 1982, where I first became aware of there was more than just me. There was more than just the people I saw around or I hung around with. Their group at that time would maybe be 50, up to 50 people, and hearing the stories, I knew that I had to do something. I knew I had to, in some way, help empower, help affirm those who were still struggling. And then I went to graduate school, where I really focused on gender sexuality studies, even though there was really no academic coursework in it. I stole from whatever, and I was very, very fortunate to have the university hook me up with James Huggins from the Prasad Center. He was one of the original directors of founders of the Prasad Center, a clinical psychologist. And through his mentorship and help, really encouraged me to take on this role. And after moving back to Erie, my late partner and I opened Lake Erie Counseling, which this was really radical back in 1994, but was the first mental health provider in the area to openly say, hey, we want to work with the LGBTQ community, offering gay affirming and empowering services. What was available at the time, first of all, was never really talked about. And in terms of social work, of therapy or social service, there was very little at that time, especially in the regional area where I was in Erie. But I remember the first time I put an ad in the newsletter, the Erie Gay News, offering gay affirmative and empowering services, and other colleagues called me, or when it was kind of found out, colleagues and other psychologists and clinical social workers in the area called me and said, are you trying to commit professional suicide? What the hell are you doing? And I just knew I had to do it. Because I found that my way of really being an advocate was really on the micro level, working with individuals to help them come out, embrace who they were, and be visible. And so I continued my work, and through the years finding different ways to meet the needs of the community that I could see. And leads me to Aging with Pride. I kept hearing the need for specific group or activity, some way of socializing for the elder LGBTQ community. So started that. And that's kind of my path.
Well, my path is a little bit different, and I guess I'm proof that sometimes being an advocate or an activist is pretty boring. I first got involved when I was at the Department of Defense. The agency I was with is, it's NSA, so fairly large, half civilian, half military. And during the first Trump administration was when he first threatened to kick transgender individuals out of the military. When that announcement came out, a group of us kind of got together as part of our support group, and I listened to these young military folks, all of them transgender, all of them wondering what was going to happen to their livelihood. And I mean, they're you all's age, and they really didn't know what was going to come next. And my first thought was, well, not on my watch. And, found out there was, the agency was writing its first policy on how to work with, transgender individuals. And by that I mean, things like bathroom policy. At one point, one of the individuals had to make a pretty big hike to get to a bathroom that they were allowed to use. That had to change. Other things that you may not realize, when you work in a large agency and have databases of names and all, how do you database a dead name? You know, you can't totally get rid of it. How do you do that and be respectful? So writing policy is one of the most boring things you can do. I tried to avoid it at all costs. But it's one of the things I'm really glad I did, because it helped some folks. And that's how I got involved, and when I retired and moved to Erie, I started helping out with these guys. It's pretty exciting compared to me. You didn't write that stuff. When, mine is very microscopic on the, advocacy. I belong to the, Metropolitan Community Church, and, the minister was murdered. And after exactly one day, the police informed us that there wasn't, any evidence or anything to be able to pursue the case any further to look who perpetrated that. So we, as a church, got together and, you know, tried to make things happen. They did not. So the best thing we can do is just be out there. Let people see us. We're pretty normal. Ain't normal, you know. We're, your everyday, just being there helps. People see that, you know, we're not so bad.
Hey everybody, I'm Marty. You know, for me, some days activism is getting out of bed and just being, and that's okay. And that's courageous, and I assume that a lot of us experience that. I came out a little bit later, I guess, like mid-20s. And my kind of like ticket to do that was getting out of Pennsylvania, was moving away from family. And I lived in West Palm Beach for 4 years, and that was an explosion of joy and identity for me. There were other people that I saw that were like me. You know, I couldn't really do much there other than just to develop my identity and to feel free. And that was wonderful. I came back to Erie to get a master's degree. And then one of my very dear friends committed suicide. And John was amazing, really great person, and did a lot for other people. And my belief is that John's suicide, homophobia killed John. I don't know that John really did. That's how I looked at that. So at that point, I moved to Atlanta. And again, another burst of joy, seeing people like myself. I worked as a social worker in a emergency room when I first got to Atlanta. And I was recruited by a physician in infectious disease. This was like 1983. He recruited me to work in what was called the gay-related immune deficiency floor. It was AIDS when AIDS first came out. Not a lot of people wanted to work on that floor. For me, there was no question. This is where I'm going. This is what I need to do. And I'm very thankful, to have that offer to move in. Lost a lot of friends over the next decade. I've got a nursing degree. My plan was to work at an AIDS hospice that was in Atlanta. And because I'd had so many personal losses, that goal was no longer a good goal for me. So I switched gears in terms of specialty nursing. But at any rate, after retirement, I was again privileged to have an organization that needed my experience, I guess. It was called Lost and Found Youth. Atlanta is like the New York City of the North and the South. A lot of diversity, a lot of religion, a lot of judgment, a lot of homophobia. So that when kids were coming out, a lot of them were tossed out. Georgia State University did a study, and that study indicated that if you don't get to that kid within the first 48 hours, that kid's going to be exploited. Drugs, sex, you name it. My contribution to that group is developing what I call the job readiness program, working with these individuals, these kids that had never completed a job application, doing mock interviews, setting up interviews, taking them. We also had a system of group homes so that there was a secure living environment for the people that I was working with. I never met such a brave and ballsy group of kids in my life as the kids that I've worked with. I'd be driving down Peabody Avenue and the train station's right there, and I would look and I would see kids that were obviously dressing in the gender to which they identified, but very obviously not the gender in which they were born. Those were the most courageous kids that I've ever met in my life. And I loved working with them. They taught me a lot. We had one kid come from Detroit to Atlanta, get aged out of the foster care system. He found us online, Lost and Found Youth, got a ticket, got on the bus, and came to us. This kid, again, like I said, I am so blessed to have worked with the kids that I worked with. And, activism is voting. Activism is, like other people said, being in your work life and being who you are and calling out stuff that's inappropriate, or asking questions. And, again, much like the kids that I work with, those are the bravest people, and that's what courageous people do. And it sometimes takes a while to build that courage, but all of you are capable of that. You're here, and even if you're not LGBT, courage is possible. But I think it's more important if you're in a marginalized group, particularly in this political environment. So vote, get out there and represent, gather information. Thanks for letting us be here tonight. That's all I've got.
So, I have plenty of other questions. Would you share with us some advice for community building or finding community or navigating workspaces, especially ones that might have felt hostile?
Wow. That's a tough one. Not really. The advice is, to build a community space, is get involved at your workplace. If it's hostile, turn it around. We don't have to face hostility with hostility back. That just makes us as the bad guys, because they're gonna blame our community, and even though they may have started. So when you find hostility, kill it with love. Creating a safe work environment or a community is just getting your friends that are involved, your allies. They don't have to be LGBTQ. If they're your friends, they're your ally, period. Get them involved with you. Hey, Joe, how can we make this a safe community space? How can you educate, you uplift, you talk to each other. This right here is your best weapon, because it can educate. Answer the tough questions. People ask me, what's it like to be transgender? I said, it's the greatest feeling ever in the world. I love being a woman. I've known that I was a woman since I was 5 years old. And I educate them about what it's like to be me. So you build community by being community. You see what I'm saying? That's how it works. We be us. And I'm telling you, like the place that I'm at, the Newcastle Prism Initiative, it's an LGBTQ outreach. Guess what? There's no judgment. Guess what? You could be who you are. Guess what? You could sit and talk with people that think like you do. No judgment. We're not going to stop you. Use whatever bathroom you want to do. Be who you are. If you've never socially transitioned, come to the center and be you. Because that's what this is all about. That's how you build community. Be you. You can't do anything else but be you. Because guess what? I don't care what that idiot on 1600 Pennsylvania Drive thinks he could do. He can't take away you. They can make rules, they can make laws, but don't. Be community is by just being you. Don't let them stop that, because I see a lot of activists in this room, and I'm looking at every one of them, and you're all activists whether you realize it or not.
I need to change places. It's too hard to on every single question, right? How do you build community? You know, I don't know that there is one answer to that. I don't know that there's one correct answer to that. Every time we as a group of people get together and talk about what we're trying to accomplish, the fundamental question is, how do we build this community? I mean, I don't know that you ever have a built community. You're always building. You're always adapting. You're always changing your strategy. You're changing your mission. You're changing something because that's what the circumstances require. So don't worry about having a built community. Be a part of building one. And oftentimes, that's just showing up. I'm not a joiner by nature. I am a huge introvert by nature. But you know what? You have to show up. Sometimes if you're in your dorm room or you're in your apartment, show up. Go to where things might be happening. And maybe you could be one of the people who makes it happen, right? Or if you can't do it for one person. I mean, the older I get, the more I realize sometimes the most effective activism is to help one person who really needs that help. I would like to change the world, but sometimes I can just help one person who's going through a hard time. That's pretty damn significant. And everybody can do that, regardless of your age. Be kind. Show compassion. Realize that all of us in this room have privilege, right? We're all here. You're university students or you're faculty. That's a privilege that doesn't happen to the majority of people in the world. You have families. You know where your food is. You know know where you're gonna sleep tonight. Those are privileges other people don't have. Think about that. I know it's very easy to say, oh, my life sucks and I hate it and I'm a victim. Yeah, we're all victims. But you have to move beyond that to become that kind of activist, to become that kind of community builder. And really, what I have found is what has gotten me through the worst times in my life, when I've been the most depressed, the most disillusioned, is when I've made myself focus on helping other people. That no matter how down I am, no matter how depressed I am, no matter how suicidal I might be feeling, there is a way to get through that, and that's to meet people and to actually give of yourself. Give of yourself. And that's the way you build community.
When I was first coming out, I was like extremely nervous, and I remember going up to this bar in Erie, Lizzie Borden's, and I think that you can make change if you keep things like, I'm going to start really small, so I would go to Lizzie Borden's like once per week. I just had to say the word hi, one syllable to one person, and that was it. So if you keep the bar really low, that helps. The thing I put to other folks is, so if you're looking to find the community, community theater or a Unitarian church, you probably will find somebody. So that's a very silly thing for doing it. But mostly it's don't be afraid. Don't be afraid, or at least let yourself go beyond your comfort zone and give yourself permission. Like, yep, I will probably feel awkward here, but sometimes you can have some of your best experiences. Also realize that people are not necessarily, when you look at the demographics, are not necessarily going to be rejecting. You can't tell. When I was first coming out, I was really great friends with this client of ours at the Erie Zoo, and I knew that Debbie was like, I knew she went to First Assembly of God Church, which always made me giggle when I thought about their initials. She just have it right in and I thought, like, oh my gosh, no one got that. I can never believe it. But then, so anyway, so after, she wasn't even my friend anymore, it turned out that she had long been a supporter of LGBTQ people. When I had a hand fasting, she came to that. So like a commitment ceremony I had with somebody, she's been a wonderful friend. So don't assume that because somebody's in a demographic that you would not expect to be supportive, and they are. And it just takes patience, and just be there. And if you keep your expectations low initially, and not expect that everything has to be done right away, and give yourself permission to fumble and to feel awkward, you can probably get a lot more done. And awesome fun way to do things.
Yes, show up. Show up. And after you show up a couple times, if you see somebody new that's showing up, go and say hello and embrace them and keep doing that. Also, recognize needs in the community. What is the need? What is missing? And don't wait for somebody else to create it. Go ahead and create it.
I guess the example I would use, sometimes building community is done very quietly. When I first came out, I'd been at the agency for over 20 years. I had a pretty well-established career, and I was kind of wondering what was going to happen to my career now that I was coming out. I remembered I'd seen a rainbow sticker on the car of a woman I worked with. And I thought, well, she's pretty smart. Let's see what she has to say. And I reached out to her in an email, apologized profusely if I was wrong or misremembering, but she's like, no, you're right. And it was really good to have that sign from her to reach out, and I was able to learn from her. And then, you know, I put a rainbow magnet up at my desk, so hopefully I can help someone else. It doesn't have to be a huge extrovert thing, you can just do it quietly. I don't have anything new. I mean, it's what they've all said. Little things, be there for people. And you also can't think that once you got a community established, that your community's gonna be okay. You gotta keep working at it. As we all know, right now it's kinda tough. But that can happen in the workforce and in society, so just keep showing up.
Switch gears a little bit. Picture it. West Palm Beach, Fort Lauderdale, 1976. A young guy from Pennsylvania, full of joy and recognizing his community. And it was also disco. I built my first community disco dance center. It wasn't like rocket science, you know. But then something happened in 1977 at Fort Lauderdale, and that was this woman named Anita Bryant, who came out against the very first anti-discrimination county law in Dade County. They were the first folks that passed legislation that said you can't discriminate against gay people in housing, employment, healthcare, and so forth. So a bunch of us that were dancing at the disco started talking about that. So communication is key to building any community. And we got involved. We did phone banking. We did, you know, standing up with signs in public. We weren't successful in terms of turning that around. Dade County ended up, was the largest ever voter turnout they had on that side of a docket. And it was 70% against equal rights for LGBTQ people. And again, you know, you don't always win, but you don't sit down and shut up either. That's my story again.
Your end this time. So you get to answer first on some of these too. My next question is, what do you wish someone would have told you at 22?
Don't forget to dance. Don't forget the joy. Don't forget the inspiration that you get from other people or from giving and creating a community. You know, yeah, there's a lot of serious work to be done, but don't find balance, find self-care, because we want you around for a long time.
I think probably, there are gonna be times where you're gonna go, why did I ever come out? And then you're gonna say, that's why, because it's me. And you just gotta let people see you, fight the battles, and hopefully things will get better. You won't have to be in the closet forever.
It's gonna be great. Like yourself, love yourself, accept yourself, embrace yourself, and be louder and prouder.
As scary as things might seem, it would be scarier still if you're silent and you don't do anything. And again, give yourself permission to start with something small and realize that you are probably somebody else's inspiration. So your fear, coming over your fear, helps not just you, it helps people that you don't even know you're helping.
first piece of advice, be true to yourself. Just be true to yourself. Don't be the person that someone wants you to be. Be true to yourself. And you don't have to brag about that. You don't have to be obnoxious about it. But just be true to yourself, whatever that manifestation is. You know, one of the advantages of being as old as we all are is that we is that we all screw up a lot. And so we like to think we have to have it all figured out. None of us at this table have it figured out. We could all still don't. So, you know, you're younger, you're wondering what your path is going to be, take some risks. Right? You're going to screw up because that's the nature of the species. But you'll survive it. You'll survive it. And keep moving forward. There have been times in my life when the hardest thing I've had to do is put one foot in front of the other, literally, going through some very deep depression. You just keep thinking, one foot in front of the other. Yesterday, I screwed up. That's something to learn from. That's not a regret. That's something to learn from. Keep moving forward. Be true to yourself. And as my mother would always say, are you happy? Make sure you're happy. And I don't mean in some funny, drunken, party way. Sort of that's kind of happy too. But are you satisfied with yourself? You know, are you being the best person you can be, whatever that is? That's what being happy is, and always remember that's your goal.
And he said it was tough to follow me. My advice is, and I tell this to all my clients that come into Poly Sanctuary, be you, respect you, and love you. Because you're the only you that you've got. It don't matter what anybody else thinks. You're the best version of you that you're going to be. I'm the best Jody that I can be. We're here on this panel to help, to bring light to you. But the only thing we can't do is change you. There's nothing wrong with you. You like what you see in the mirror? Stay with it, baby, because it's working. If you don't like what you see, well, damn it, change it. You can only fix you. You're trans, be proud. No matter what they say. If they tell you you can't go in that bathroom, keep walking in it anyways. Show them that you're you. Your words will not hurt me. They're just words. And besides, it's none of our business what they think of us. Let them think what they want. You know, RuPaul always says it. You guys know what I'm about to say. If you can't love yourself, how the hell are you going to love somebody else? Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Love yourself, be yourself, respect yourself. That's my advice to you guys.
Okay, you get to go again first, Maureen. Okay. I know you brought these lovely posters with us, and so my next question is going to kind of lead into those. If you would like to gesture towards or talk about anything in which, like, that you brought that you'd like to talk about, please do reference those. And we're going to keep these up here at the end of the program so that you can see them, get a little closer too. But my last question is, what is a piece of LGBTQ history that you wish everybody knew about?
History. I think any of the struggles really are important. The struggle is what gets you to success. You know, some of these posters are about like politics, marches on Washington. There's a protest, I believe, tomorrow. You You know, and I think that the most significant history in the LGBT community occurred because we were seen and we communicated who we were and what we wanted. So that would be my take on it.
Well, one thing, I would guess the major thing, and we were discussing this on the way up, I can't remember the date, but when the medical profession removed the fact that LGBTQ plus people were mentally ill. I would have to say that was like a defining thing, and everybody needs
1973.
And we need to remember that because unfortunately we might, if some people have their way, get back to that. I would say remember that we have always been a part of history and we always will be. The one example I would like you all to learn about is Alan Turing. Brilliant computer scientist and mathematician. And World War II might have turned out very differently had he not done some of the code-breaking work that he did at Bletchley Park. I would challenge you all to watch the movie The Imitation Game. It's a great representation of what happened, and it's a good thing to remember. And unfortunately, he was convicted of being a gay man. He was chemically castrated, and he ended up committing suicide, and that is one of the biggest flippin' wastes that I can imagine.
I guess to remember that there was advocacy and history before Stonewall. While that's very important to understand and appreciate Stonewall, but 20 years before that, actually about 100 years before that, but in the 50s with the Mattachine Society, the Daughters of Elias, other groups, there were sparks of let's do something. So I think that's important.
We go back, we've always been here. I remember that one of the contributors, for example, to, when they were talking before about the U.S. military depends upon having a good sense of discipline, that one of the first persons, I believe from Prussia or from Germany, who was was recruited basically by Benjamin, what was it? Von Steuben, thank you, who was, run over, I believe, by Benjamin Franklin to get with the Continental Army into the state, was a gay man. So, yeah, we have been here. They would not have discipline. Come on, a gay man, being organized and being a pissy queen about stuff. How would that not have happened? But we have been here like forever, and there have been trans and non-binary people throughout every culture in every period of time. Queer people have always been here, and don't let them try to erase us from history.
My advice would be to read history. We're all very caught up in our current times, but nothing really tells the story of us as a group of people than reading history and knowing what has gone before. I mean, you may not know that gay was not a concept until the 20th century, and yet there were many gay people before that. So read. I know it's not the most exciting thing to do to curl up with a book, but read, and read deeply about all the people who made so many sacrifices to be where we are today, and people who paid the ultimate price so that we can be The other thing, the most moving thing that I can remember is being in Washington DC when the AIDS quilt was laid out on the National Mall. And this was back in the early 90s, I believe.
Was it 93?
93, I think.
April 25th,
And for those of us here, we were part of that sort of AIDS generation when we lost so many people. I mean, it's hard to imagine you would open up the gay newspaper and the majority of it were obituaries of people that you knew who had died. And you would walk through by the quilt pieces and you would look at them all, thousands of them, and you'd look at their birth dates. And they were all born the same year you were born, and they all died. I mean, I don't know that any of us don't feel appreciative that we did not succumb to that catastrophe. So think about the past. You know, I think about all the people that we've lost to AIDS. Every day I think about the talent and the promise that we lost due to the AIDS crisis. So learn your history. It'll make us all better activists.
And I'm not going to say Marsha Johnson because she's obvious. What a great woman for the community. What a great woman. Mine, though, is somebody that, because the question was somebody that nobody may know of. Dr. Renee Richards, 1967, I believe, 1968. When he was a man, he was on the pro tennis, U.S. tennis team, won a championship, transitioned, and became a champion on the women's tennis team, won a championship. So she was the first trans person in history to win both the male championship and the female championship in tennis. And that was before they were worried about men in women's sports. You all hate that, don't you, when they say that? Men in women's sports. How many of you women here would feel safe with me walking in your restroom? Don't they get it? That's what I got.
Blaine gave me a few questions that he was in particular interested in speaking to you about, and I'd like to hear from all the panelists to talk about some of these. One of your questions was about language in here. So explaining the difference between gay and queer, why older gay people might shy away from the term queer. We want to talk about reclamation of language and such. If anybody wants to speak to it.
For myself, I guess, it took me a long time to get comfortable with the word queer, just because of my age and because of my life experience. I think all of us can relate to that. Whether it's a word, whether it's a food, that you remember having a bad time with. So it took me a while to get comfortable with queer. And I'm okay with people who choose to use that term to describe themselves. That's you're allowed to do that. Do I do it in terms of myself? No, and that's okay too. So that's my deal.
Yeah, I have to agree with that one. Because our memory of it is being harassed, derogatory comments and all that. There's dyke too. That's always a good one. Although I don't have a problem with that. Aside from coming out at age 47, it took me an awful long time to call myself a lesbian. I was behaving in a less than feminine way, my mother would say, "What are you, some kind of damn lesbian?" Which, yeah. It took a while for me to use it.
Yeah, it took a while for me to get used to and liking and even using queer, because in the 70s, 60s, 70s, when we were growing up, that was not something you wanted to hear, along with faggot and other not so nice terms. But as I got older and I saw that it was more embracing of all, that it wasn't, that we could take that negative and turn it into something positive and make it inclusive of us all. I'm getting, it still doesn't flow from my mouth as much as I might like it to, but I kind of like it.
I mean, to say that probably, I mean, there was a point in the past where gay kind of was used as kind of a catch-all for the entire community, which was never really accurate. And I think before it came out, gay and lesbian was kind of like, okay, we'll use that. And then when I was first coming out, the big term when it was les-bi-gay, because it had bi in it, and later we're in trans. I know that some people will get like, oh my God, how many letters do we have to have? I'm like, as many as we need, Like, Christians, how many freaking denominations do you need, all right? No more. So there's something for doing that. So I'm comfortable with queer. I probably don't use it as much when I'm talking about our community to the media, but I may sometimes use it. And ultimately, it should depend upon use whatever terms that you're comfortable with and that makes sense for you. So if somebody chooses to use something and it's not what you would use, don't worry about it. You use what's comfortable for you and let other people use what's comfortable for them, because we each are the best experts on ourselves.
I'm the one who asked the question. I mean, I have been involved with some organizations very recently, I mean this year even, where there have been debates about changing the name of an organization to include the letter Q, as opposed to just LGBT. Should we add a Q or not? This is a board of gay people, and it is one of the most heated conversations I've been a part of. The older people have, as you've heard here, it can make many of us profoundly uncomfortable to use that word when it was used to persecute us just 20 or 30 years ago. So the question I want to ask is of you. What is queer? Because I would classify myself as gay, and yet I have talked to people who say I'm queer. And I must tell you, quite honestly, I have no idea what that means. None. Does that mean you're gay plus? You're gay party? Yeah, are there sequins involved? Are there drugs? Sign me up. So can I turn the mic?
Yeah.
Can I turn the mic on the audience? I'm seriously, I want to know what makes you queer as opposed to gay. I was also an English major, so what is the definition that applies here?
Oh, goodness, we have some hands right here.
To me, at least, when I'm writing, queer is typically used as a catch-all term for the community. It makes my writing a little more concise, just speaking as like one, an English ed major, and two, someone from the community. But I also, as you guys have stated,
it's funny you said that you were an English major, because I took an English class with Dr. Shoemaker where we talked a lot about the word queer, and
Please.
yes, so we really dove into that. But for me, I personally like the word because I think it kind of like what's already been stated. It deviates from like binaries and like putting people in small boxes. I think it's a very expansive word. It's very inclusive. It doesn't not include anyone in the community. It's for gender, it's for sexuality. So to me, it's a word that feels affirming, I guess. Yeah.
Is it okay if I say something? Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna be the contrary here. Personally, I've never been someone who's liked the word queer, especially considering my background, grew up rural, around that area, all that kind of stuff. So like I have negative connotations with it. But from my observations with being around people who are like, oh yeah, I'm queer and proud, and blah blah blah. I'm like, that's epic for you. From my understanding, it's because also I feel like I can't reclaim it because I haven't been through such hardships to proudly say I'm queer. And that feels like it erases parts of me as well because it's so broad and such. You know, I'm not queer. I'm a lesbian. That's the thing. And when I want to define who I am outside of that, and other people they prefer that vagueness. They prefer that broadness because sometimes their identity is more than just that, or it's less than that. It's however they want it to be. So yeah, I have something more better to say, but that just like, yeah. I love that.
I don't need the microphone.
You don't need, okay.
Well, I mean, if you want to pass it to me, sure.
Oh,
it's just
okay,
like a
you're good.
I can make it work.
Yo.
Just give it back to me. My girlfriend.
I mean, not to be like double contrary, but I guess no. Well, I'm queer and I'm a lesbian. Like they kind of hold hands. At least going off of the I'm assuming you're talking about queer lit, like
Yeah.
Dr. Shoemaker. Yeah. I would say that the definition the textbook gave, like, to queer something is to, like, break binaries with it. Like, queer in itself is, like, strange, I guess, and I would say that is me, I am strange. But within the community as a term, I always took it as, like, anything that isn't cisgender and heterosexual, or anything that doesn't fit into the norms that our society has put on us. And I am also that. So yeah, I'm queer and I'm a lesbian.
I think
Yeah, hi. So I'm an English major as well. So the definition of queer is something like strange or something like out of the norm is what it was used for, so that's why the word was used a lot. But unfortunately the word has been used to be derogatory, especially between the 50s and even almost the early 2000s for people in the LGBTQ plus community. I'm a part of the community myself, so I think we taking back the word and putting the positive notions, giving us more power, and is a form of activism, because we're finally taking back what all the horrible things that have been said when we're just normal people trying to love who we love and live our lives. And I think there's a beauty behind taking back the word. It's kind of like the word like retarded starting to be like taken back for people who are on the spectrum. I think there's an importance. Language is language. It's used to define terms, and we shouldn't have negative connotations when it comes to language. So yeah.
wait. Sorry. There you go.
I guess piggybacking off of what she said, it's empowering to take words away from people, or like throw them as fun, I suppose. You guys know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, when something is used against another person, they kind of don't get their, like, high off of it or whatever anymore because it's something that you start saying. But, and they want to make fun of you, right? So, you take away their fun, kind of. Okay, that's what I have to say.
You see how the man just passes the mic away from the woman? You see what I mean? I'm good. I was just informed a few months ago that I'm a part of the queer community, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm trans. How can I be queer? And I didn't know. But in my day, I really can't speak on queer, gay, whatever, because I'm trans. Our word in the 70s was transsexual. That was our word, and now it's transgender. And there's a different, I like transgender because that's actually what I am. Transsexual, I don't know how that describes a transgender person, I really don't. And I'm glad we got away from that. The biggest slur I ever heard was, oh, you're a tranny. No, I don't fit inside of a car. I drive it.
Oh.
Yes, I do have red fluid, but it's blood. I mean, I'm a tranny? Really? Okay. But no, but I think that was the thing with us, it was transsexual more than, but I'm proud to be a part of the queer community, if you all will have me, okay?
Yeah!
Is it okay if I turn it over for some questions?
Yeah,
for you?
sure.
Yeah? I have some questions.
So, a lot of, I guess, the existence of being part of the gay or trans community is a lot of like hardship, but what are some of your moments where you experienced joy or finding that joy in being who you are in yourself?
Moments of joy. I need to stretch. Is, well, being the director of trans care, but to actually see a trans man or a trans girl, woman, walk into my sanctuary and get their first binder, or they wear their first wig. When I see a trans man go into the changing dressing room and, you know, they have this sticking out, and then when they got the binder, they're smooth and flat, and they look so masculine. That's my joy. My joy is for a trans woman to discover on how to tuck, because I had to learn all that stuff. I know I'm being a little bit language there, but it's a part of our community. And that's the thing that brings me joy. And another thing is when somebody comes over to me and says, Mama, you've changed my life. That's my joy. Being the woman that I am, being the person that I am is my biggest joy. To help you. That's my joy. I'm not selfish. I love to share the joy when I see a smile on a person's face that discovered who they are for the first time. I didn't know I was trans. Thank you. That's joy. That's real joy. Personal joy was the day that I had my final surgery to be completely a woman. That was the only surgery I had. I didn't have the breast enlargement or nothing. I had the surgery because the worst thing I could do was get out of the shower, open the door, and from here up, oh, beautiful. Then I looked down, you need to go. That was my joy when I finally got to see myself as a complete woman. And I'm telling you what, girls, I love it.
Moments of true joy are actually when I see anyone, gay or otherwise, who seems to be truly happy. I take great joy in seeing other people who are content with who they are, who realize the contributions they can make, and who feel that there actually is a way to make the world a better place, if only in a tiny, small way. We don't have to change the world, we just have to change our environment a little bit. But, since I'm a gay man, if you want real joy, go back to a disco. Loud music, lights, drinks, other substances. It was delirious. If you want to talk about just plain superficial joy, just forgetting who you were and what problems you had and being on that tacky disco dance floor, dancing your ass off, was joy. And I wish all of you experience, I hope all of you experience that at some point in your life, because it is, I think it is part of what we think of as gay culture, right? It is.
That's how I learned how to walk in heels. A couple of, let's see, joy would be, actually this past Saturday was the Erie family photo, and I'm always late to everything, so but this time I happened to be the first person there, and I'm like, oh my God, no one else is gonna show up, and I was sort of scared, but actually there were like 80 people, it was wonderful. I had a friend of mine who has also been a coworker who transitioned. And they came to me and said, like, could you take me to the airport and would you like watch, like, their stuff was over at their sister's house, so I got to watch the thing for a couple of weeks. And just being able to be a part of that process and support them. And the funky thing was, so I dropped my friend and her sister off at the airport to fly out. It's like Easter morning, which I thought was, oh, so you're going away on Easter, you're coming back as your true self. That's remarkably on brand. I pull out and like put on the music, and it was like playing Danse Macabre, which is a very spooky piece of music. I'm like, oh my gosh, my friend is afraid of flying. They're facing major surgery. This is a very funny story, but I cannot tell them until they are back safely on the ground, having gone through the surgery. So when I picked them up from the airport, I said, okay, there's a spooky piece of music that played. It turned out it was one of their favorite pieces of music, and that just made me, for some weird reason, super happy. So, but yeah, it's a case of where you have a feeling of you have an impact on the world, and maybe you brought a little bit of joy or a little bit of freedom to somebody, and maybe your life had a little bit of meaning, and that's kind of cool.
For me, the joy comes when I'm sitting across from someone queer, and they're sad, they're depressed, they're have been suicidal, they're scared, and I can sit with them and hear their stories and help them to love who they are. And when I can see that moment, there is just nothing better. Or when I'm sitting with a couple and they either decide to go on with their relationship and find new joy in that. There's nothing like that. On the other side, sometimes they decide that no, it is best for us to split. But when I can see that they're splitting lovingly and amicably, that's joy. Or when I'm sitting with a family and parents can verbalize their love and acceptance of their trans child, there just is, for me, no greater joy.
So my idea might be a little more mundane. 2 Sundays every month, the Aging with Pride group meets and we do our planning session and bicker session and whatever else it ends up being. And it's like, all of us can be ourselves. We're gay, we're lesbian, we're queer, we're old. We deal with that as well. And it's just awesome to be able to do that. For me, it was when I was a happy kid. You know, growing up, I could do whatever I want. I could play with the cowboy hat and the guns and football, softball. Yeah, that's right. But then you get to a certain age, girls don't play girls don't play football, girls don't play softball. And I was miserable. And, you know, girls don't act that way. And then I found out there are some girls who act that way. And I'm okay. So that was just feeling comfortable with yourself. The biggest thing.
I think my greatest gay joy so far was being in Provincetown, and that's another thing I would have said to my younger self: travel, travel, travel. See other cultures. In Provincetown, you can be with your girlfriend or boyfriend and walk down the street holding hands. And it's just kind of like anybody else walking down the street holding hands. So picture it, I'm in Provincetown. It's June 2015. Supreme Court approves gay marriage. The commercial street went nuts. So it was like after working so hard and so long, it finally happened, you know. It was too late for my partner and I because he had passed away before that. But I was thrilled for every couple that I saw that was in love and could be legal, you know. And Blaine, we're going to talk about this tacky disco for in a minute.
How was it to be attacked? Go ahead.
Nothing I want to share. We have time for one more question. One more question. Oh.
Thank you. I'm so sorry to have missed so much of this. I was wondering, because I obviously wasn't here to see it or hear it, was there any specific pieces of media or like songs or anything that growing up you really related to that really helped you with your queer experience and identity?
Is there any media, songs, film, etc. that like helped you feel seen and supported in your identity when you were growing up?
Oh, when I was growing up? No. No, that wasn't until Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach. And then it was the I Will Survive anthem, which is an Iowa anthem, I think. But, you know, anything I could move to, generally, you know, I liked. Because movement is a way to express oneself as well. Thanks for the question.
I can't remember when I was younger anything that would have been motivating or supportive. And this is cliche, but like Melissa Etheridge. Ellen. And then just Bette Midler. Yeah. So that's it. I'd say being closeted in a rural area when I was in junior high and high school, I think David Bowie's music really spoke to me, and I could blast it as loud as I wanted, and my folks would complain about the volume and nothing else.
Pat, thank you for mentioning Bette Midler.
Yes.
It dawned on me later why at 15, 16, I was so drawn to this performer. What was it? And then, of course, and how that reached out to me. And was the first time I felt like I understood just a little bit, appreciated just a little bit. And so thank you, Pat.
Scene, but so my parents got married, had us 3 kids, got divorced. Mom married somebody else. They got divorced. My mother remarried my dad. At the second wedding, so it's a legitimate child because my parents' wedding. My sister and I hung "If Mama Was Married from Gypsy." So musical theater thing. When I was in high school, we had to make a piece of music and talk about the lyrics. The first was going to bring in the Vatican Rag by Tom Lehrer just to piss off the Catholics. I ended up settling for "Have a Little Priest" and Sweeney Todd. Holy crap, if your major first association with anything is anything by Sondheim, for the love of Christ, come out already. I didn't even realize this at the time, but it was like high school where you're like, how did we all miss that? I am personally disappointed in each and every one of you for not picking up on that and making me wait over here.
I'll go where no one else wants to go. Let's talk about gay porn. The first time I had ever seen gay porn, I was in college, and I don't know how, one of my roommates brought home this magazine. And growing up, we had all seen Playboy, and we had seen all the heterosexual magazines, right? So here we are, 18, 19, and someone brings in gay porn. What an eye-opening experience that was. And to think that you could make a living doing this, it's sort of like, is this a career option? And so really, I mean, I'm making light of it, but there's a serious part to it, which is I had never seen anything like that in my life. I had never seen photographs of people doing things that I had imagined, and who were actually bold enough to put it on paper, right? And so was it kind of tacky and off color and blue? Yeah, but for me it was kind of revolutionary. It was, there are people who are doing this, making money. For God's sakes, it's copyrighted, you know, so how bad can it be? But that really was something that really opened my eyes to sort of legitimizing gay sex. That this wasn't just something that floated around in my brain, right? No, here's proof that there are lots of other people who are thinking the same nasty stuff I'm thinking, and they're bold enough to take pictures of it. I mean, for me, that was revolutionary. Porn was revolutionary for me. I mean, yeah, there were lots of pieces of great literature, but really porn.
I guess he got back at me for following me so much. I love that.
You've never looked at porn.
I didn't say that. I'm
not suggesting any of you do that.
Don't put a girl on the spot. In my day, it would have been, and it's a big cult film right now, Rocky Horror Picture Show. How can you not like the transgender count? Sorry, that was it for me. Songs would be I'm Coming Out, Diana Ross. I'm still standing by Elton John. And today is Britney Spears, I'm not a girl, not yet a woman. That is perfect for the transgender people, I think. So, yes, Rocky Horror Picture, why not? That was my thing.
Well, it looks like we're about out of time, so I want to ask you to give one more round of applause for our panelists.